The 11th of July is another day with just terrible weather and practically no flying conducted by the wing. So let me take a minute to sort of update the map here. I'm not going to update it permanently for another week or two until we get to the breakout. Then I have another map that I can overlay, but of course, Colin is taken in the east. And for about the last week, the American First Army in the west has been slowly pushing south, trying to get set up for the breakout from St. Lo. And as I've noted before, the offensive operations are being slowed down considerably by these hedgerows, this very easily defensible terrain that the entire Allied side is eager to get out of at this point. And I'll try to find a photo that I can stick in here to better illustrate the problem they were up against. It isn't necessarily the trees that we can see clearly in the overhead images, it's this hundreds of years worth of undergrowth that has built up around the boundaries to these fields that everybody's dealing with, and this gives rise to all kinds of innovative engineering techniques to push through them. We're going to see attached to the fronts of tanks, for example, and again I'll try to find a photo of these hedgerow cutters that were designed on the spot and attached to the fronts of tanks so that they could then punch through and at least allow themselves and those they're supporting to see through to the other side. So let me run through the squadron records, and 441 tells us that only air tests were flown today, and these would have just been flights carried out to check repairs and make sure that everything is working correctly on the aircraft. 442 records that they are on dawn readiness, still cool and cloudy, not airborne until 1450 hours when weather improved and 12 set out on an armed recce. Saw Huns in the clouds but couldn't catch them. Flight Lieutenant Hallahan, on his first trip with the squadron, was flying number 2 to Squadron Leader Dowding and hit by flak near Caen. Smoke was seen coming from Y2H, those are the call letters of the aircraft he was flying, and he was instructed to bail out, and due to heavy flak and clouds he was not seen again. Only with 442 about 24 hours, and is the first to be missing or killed in the 5 months since the squadron was formed. We pray it may be as long again. 2 new pilots reported in, Flying Officer Lumsden and Flying Officer Trumley. The Lodger, a movie about Jack the Ripper, was shown in the officer's mess, and about 13 hours of flying time. And then 443, uneventful day. Weather continued cloudy with intermittent rain. No sorties made by the aircraft during the day, and first squadron sortie made into Bayo during the evening, this town now being inbounds to all ranks until 2200 hours daily, and nil flying time for the squadron. So the only mission up is this 1450 to 1600 armed recce by 442. Few METs seen, 1 attack near Conde. Flight Lieutenant Hallahan hit by flak, told to bail out but lost in cloud, missing. Nil enemy aircraft opposition, flak accurate, intense heavy and light from Conde. Tango 9532, cloud 10 tenths, 3 to 4,000 hazy visibility. And I just paused to make a brief search for anything in the area that would be worth showing as far as overhead imagery or things in the area, and there was really nothing to note. And I'll just close out today going through some of these random documents that I've accumulated as I've been going here. For example, I have this 21 May 44 directive concerning dive bombing, and this is from W.R. McBrien, Group Captain of number 17 RCAF Sector HQ, and he would have been in charge of, let me see, it says 126, 127, and 144 wings prior to the move over to the continent. And dive bombing, I have been instructed to reemphasize that 8,000 feet is the uppermost limit for commencing dive bombing attacks, continuing in the dive to 4,000 feet or lower as conditions or defense permit. And it gives reasons as being that the most efficient range for heavy flak was 9 to 12,000 feet. The higher the dive is started, the longer the target is presented to enemy gunners. And the higher the dive is started, the more speed is obtained, and the airplane becomes hard to control and efficiency of aim is reduced. And then it mentions angle of the dive. If the dive of the leader approximates 60 degrees, then the average throughout the squadron should approximate 45 to 50 degrees, which is probably optimum with this type of aircraft. So just general guidance on how to dive bomb and why to do it that way. Now we have a 21 June directive for all 3 of these wings, and it says that it is considered that the advantages gained by extra endurance is heavily outweighed by servicing and maintenance difficulties while carrying auxiliary tanks. Therefore, you are hereby advised that in future, no drop tanks will be carried by Spitfire aircraft of this sector unless ordered by this headquarters. And drop tanks were always carried on the flights over from England to the continent. That's a very, very long flight. But as it notes here, we really haven't seen them being used at all, and this is one of the reasons why. So I'll keep on the lookout for any documents like that that have a bearing on how the wing continues to operate. And as I'm going, just on my own, I'm doing obviously a lot more than just this, looking at operations in more broad terms, and I have a couple of Typhoon squadrons and a Mustang squadron that I'm also looking at, not in as much detail, but I am going through their records and trying to get more of a big picture, as I'm sure a lot of you that are following along with this are doing the same. It's easy to get tunnel vision as a researcher focusing on the minutia of a wing operation like I have been here, but you can never really truly come to understand something like this without looking at it from every possible angle, from up above in broad terms and then from the point of view of the people that are making it happen. So let me wrap up the 11th right here and move on into the 12th. It looks like things are back to more or less the same routine when it comes to flying on that day. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.